So, David, nice to see you again.
Very good to see you again, David. It's great to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. So, David, do you want to introduce yourself to our subscribers and I guess the audience, that our subscribers and audience?
Of course. My name's David Hepburn. I have been running Actionstep for the last 3 years until recently. I'm now responsible for all of our operations globally, but also very focused on Australia, New Zealand, and the UK markets, with my counterpart in the US, Early Stevens, focused on the US market. So really excited to be talking here today, because I know you have an audience around the world, and it's great to connect.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I've heard lots of good things about Actionstep. I attended a great event last week, actually, just by the harbour, and a lot of very happy customers, and also some people that were very interested as well in the product. But do you want to tell us more about Actionstep?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, the legal practice management space is a busy one. There's a lot of competition and a lot of options at all ends of the market. But Actionstep primarily is focused on the mid-market and mid-sized law firms, usually from 10 upwards to 100, that sort of space. We're fully cloud, all-in-one system that actually is a practice management system, but it's more, for me, a business management platform and CRM for customers. We have over 3,000 of them globally, about 1,000 in Australia, about the same in the USA, and then some in the UK and New Zealand. Which means that each day about 17,000 users interact with Actionstep as their practice management system, which is amazing journey that we've been on for a firm that started up maybe 12 or 13 years ago in New Zealand.
That's incredible. I mean, you mentioned about mid-market or mid-tier law. I mean, what makes that unique?
Well, it's interesting. We've kind of got there. When we began, we were focused across all ends of the market, really. We have customers that are 250 users, down to, a lot of solos, who practice on their own. But we've sort of narrowed ourselves on the mid-tier for a few reasons. I mean, obviously, it's a big sector. There's a lot of firms in that space. And usually those practices practice across multiple areas of law, or they're very, very specialized in one area, and they need a system that can kind of support them in that operation. Also in this space, many of these firms are scaling, which means that technology becomes, a hindrance to scale, or actually an enabler to scale if they purchase well. So we found Actionstep is flexible enough and heavy or light enough, depending on how you want to use it, to support that type of firm. And that firm also has a practice manager, usually, or an IT manager, which makes them a lot more serious about technology and efficiency and operations within the firm. And a lot of those good practice managers and IT managers see technology as a real enabler, not a necessary evil that you sometimes see in that small end of the market.
And I mean, it's interesting because you sort of see the mid-market or mid-tier firms, they actually start putting a management layer in. So traditionally, you've got the partner that are smaller firms. They put this management layer in. So I mean, what do you think? I mean, are the challenges for those managers in mid-sized firms?
Well, obviously, managing 50 users comes with significant challenge. Different requirements and sort of stakeholders to deal with there. And I suppose hiring and bringing in new talent is tough. And I suppose if you haven't got a good technology strategy or a well-documented way of working, that becomes hard. I mean, for example, competition in the mid-market is pretty crazy. There are a lot of firms specializing. For example, in Australia, one area particularly that we've seen over the last 5 years become very specialized is conveyancing. But also, client satisfaction is key, and clients have a great deal of choice. So, the sorts of engagement models that firms create in that mid-market, become essential and really drive that stickiness, with their customer bases. And obviously, when you get to scale too, you need good reports and business intelligence. So that usually requires at least a solid degree of technology investment to kind of achieve that, to support those mid-market requirements.
And I guess for mid-market as well, or mid-market or mid-tier firms, I guess one of the things is there's supporting a management layer and actually providing the information they kind of need to actually do their roles the best they can. And I guess they've got the challenges of working with the partnership as well, and carving out that more into a business versus a partnership. I guess some of the information you'd be providing through the system would be supporting them.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, one of the things that's quite unique about Actionstep, I think, in the market is we call it workflow. But I suppose it's how a particular practice does the things they do. And our most successful customers have taken their way of working or way of practicing in particular areas of law and actually codified it in their technology. And the reason I say that is because that becomes really powerful in respect to that reporting. If you're doing things the same way every time, and you're encouraging your team to practice in a specific way through, well-documented workflows or technology-enabled workflows, then that gives you some really, really powerful business intelligence into, how you perform at different stages of your process, how our client satisfaction, is trending, and obviously, the partnership, particularly in those managing partners and lead partners, really demand that performance information from their areas or across the whole practice as a whole. But that's very hard to do if you're not actually capturing data or operating in a reasonably structured way.
So I guess in a way, what you could sort of say, I guess you draw from that is that is having a good solid technology strategy and the right sort of technology in place helps that evolution from being partnership into more business lines, and actually gives them an advantage in the market.
I totally agree. And actually, one of the things that we do as a business, and I suppose we think about our target customer, really carefully, and I know many law firms in the mid-tier do as well, is really try and seek out those firms that are business-minded and are actually thinking about their practice as a business. And because actually that usually comes along with an openness and an open-mindedness to thinking about technology as that enabler that can help them become a business rather than just a legal practice, as it were.
I mean, some of the side effects, I guess, would be things like the valuation of the practice would be higher because they've got the proper business systems in place, be easy to attract staff, and also the clients are actually pushing for technology as well. I mean, with all the advent of all the consumer technologies being pushed, and I guess that would actually go up the line to law firms.
I totally agree. Remote working has been an amazing trend that's really helped our business. Being a cloud platform, being able to access it from any device or any browser, on any computer anywhere, is a big deal. And that goes the same for clients of law firms. They don't want to come into the law firm. They would like to sign documents remotely or have documents shared securely with them. I mean, one other, piece that we see is, this ability to kind of, acquire, or as you say, assimilate, new resources into a practice. If you've got a way of doing things and a technology that supports that people can easily use, then it becomes, for the mid-tier particularly, who are acquisitive, we see a lot of consolidation in the space and specialization, that technology becomes so essential to you actually being able to drive, as you say, that valuation or that speed to integration and value outcome.
Succession planning as well, because as I guess partners sort of look to get to retirement, I mean, what they're looking to do is pass that knowledge and I guess the knowledge and the processes down or along the way to other partners. Yeah,
we see sorry, I'm smiling, Riley, because we are finding those business-minded lawyers are not always the lawyers that have been at the firm for 30 years, and actually it's that new vanguard of lawyers and practice managers within the firms that are kind of enabling this change, pushing the migration to the cloud, or why are we still using this old technology when there are these new technologies around? I mean, one of the things that customers find with cloud tech is that actually all the new tech is all cloud, which means that if you move to the cloud, then you can actually integrate and leverage all that new tech. And if you're stuck on an on-prem system, that's not being upgraded and doesn't integrate with anything else, then you're missing out potentially on either quite specific practice area opportunities or wider technology opportunities that you would otherwise be able to benefit from and leverage if you were in the cloud. So those newer, more tech savvy or maybe 30-somethings, 40-somethings lawyers are really those people driving this change in the market today.
And I guess what we're sort of seeing as well is the trend for people to be, I guess what you're seeing is because of the significant challenges of the labour market with shortage of lawyers in certain areas, qualified lawyers, 3 to 5 years experience or 3 to 10 years experience that you sort of see in the marketplace. People, they're looking to actually say to people, you can actually work anywhere in the world. So effectively, cloud tech actually allows them to actually access remote workers and remote ability. And actually, you've seen this transition between folks in the UK and folks in Australia, maybe work on each other's matters and work.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a massive trend. I mean, we have numerous customers that are distributed virtual law firms and basically practice that way. On the other side, we have a number of customers in various markets who actually leverage low-cost offshore resources who use Actionstep, for example, within the law firm. So much of the really, I'd say, kind of repeatable, where they're able to indoctrinate a process or a very strict kind of quality assurance process, they may just have, almost, low-cost arms and legs in India, the Philippines, or another low-cost destination that are, eking out expense in the kind of whole end-to-end workflow stream within the practice. So yes, these are all possible, today as you think about that, compressing and tight labor market.
So what are the best firms doing right now?
I think, one of the things that, we really encourage with our customers is thinking about your process and trying to codify it and kind of bring it to life inside your technology so that it irons out inefficiencies, creates, ease of use and onboarding, as you say, and also opportunities to continuously improve. So, one of the major kind of sort of things I really encourage our customers to do is invest in their tech. It's an enabler and is something that could truly, be a kind of change agent for your firm. That's one big one. Another one, is thinking about, when you have cloud tech, you can look at other technologies and ways of doing things or leveraging. So, we see AI coming into play now, different types of firms. We see actually a number of our firms just thinking about Actionstep as the platform of record, and they use it, as an underlying source system that they integrate a layer of, really very flexible apps on top, like Slack or something like that, which actually, all the partners are using, and Slack again brings another degree of kind of integration, kind of globally too. Automation's a big thing, making sure that you're not wasting time doing things again and again that can be very simply automated, such as document generation or client follow-up or time capture or tracking. So those are all the sorts of, well, those are three things, that's right off the bat that we see, some of those leading mid-tier firms doing.
Yeah, one of the speakers, and I'm just trying to think, I think it was the one of the speakers, I think from PwC last week, was sort of mentioned about the client experience and employee experience, and I guess having a good technology platform enables that.
Definitely. I think, one of that onboarding challenge and quickly getting new members of the team up to speed, in how you operate, is huge. And actually those errors that occur, in onboarding, can cost money or impact, as you say, client satisfaction. So making sure that the right product goes out every time, so the client, doesn't matter who's kind of doing it in your practice, is really essential, and actually is a powerful retention tool, but also, as you say, a real important client retention tool as well.
So I'm actually curious. I'm actually I've just moved to a firm. I'm a practice manager, or say, for example, a general manager, and I've just noticed that I want to really professionalize things and make things more business-like. I want to make some changes. I mean, how can you guys help me develop a business case to actually show that we need that kind of technology?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there are a number of aspects to putting that business case together. I mean, obviously, having migrated 3,000 firms onto Actionstep, we have our team who work with our prospects and those thinking about migrating have got loads of cool tools, and whether they go to, simple Excel kind of calculators on, current cost bases, or efficiencies that we think Actionstep can bring that drive right into that business case. Some of the bigger challenges beyond that actually are things like how can we migrate? Where does my data go? Is the cloud secure? Those are actually some of the questions that managing partners and senior people in the practice obviously care about. Beyond that, there are things like, how are we going to bill? Accountants and accounting teams in these mid-sized firms, have obviously got a lot of process and, audit, responsibilities as well. And Actionstep being an all-in-one system with an accounting platform as well, gives you that kind of real true system of record. So there's a lot of artifacts that can support that business case, but also answer some of those really tough questions that I've been running this system for 10 years. How on earth are we going to get all of our data out of it into there and still be able to access it? And those are things that we have to be great at, because otherwise we wouldn't be migrating all the customers that we do to Actionstep.
I guess the tacit knowledge of over 3,000 customers around the world, and in terms of how they've actually gone from point A to point B. I mean, it's an immense amount of, or bank of knowledge you've got on how people are working, particularly mid-market. I mean, that's a massive number of firms in mid-market. Yeah,
no, totally. And actually, one of the other aspects that is key about Actionstep, there's a lot of on-prem or legacy systems out there that we kind of call. I mean, at the moment today, we're 100 and something person business with 40 to 50 engineers. This year, I'm adding another 20 engineers to the business. So this is a product that is continuously evolving and improving and broadening in its capability. And as you say, that global reach, and this is a bit salesy, but actually gives us a lot of perspectives on what best practice looks like. And we see some really interesting new tools, particularly in the US, whether it be through automatic time capturing or text messaging technology or whatever, that actually were kind of things that the market demanded there, that are now part of our wider platform globally, which has been great to be able to support.
So another question for you: what exciting things are you guys doing in the next 12 months?
Well, one of the biggest investments that we've made recently is around payments. We want to be able to provide our customers with a really seamless, totally integrated way of collecting their cash from their customer base. So that's something that we have just recently launched in the USA, and we'll be launching in Australia later in the year. And we're really, really excited about that. Our early beta customers that are using that are loving what we've done there. The trust account integration, is very, very powerful and creates a lot of time savings, and obviously speed to cash, which is really important for mid-sized firms. We're also improving a lot of aspects of our user interface. We have lots of telemetry in our system that helps us understand, how customers use Actionstep, and that's the benefit of being in the cloud, obviously, as well. And actually, we're working a lot at the moment with an engineering team on how we can improve the experience for high use areas of the product. And then we're also thinking about tools and solutions for specialist areas of law. Obviously, there are areas of law such as conveyancing or estate planning or family law or personal injury that actually, are quite sizable areas of law. We're looking at particular integrations and particular tools that would support those areas of law and things that are happening there. So you get to there when you've got some scale, as we've managed to, which is really exciting.
And so I guess, in terms of the expansion globally as well, so you're actually expanding sort of resources on the ground in the UK and also the US as well, I think I read somewhere recently.
Yes, that's right. Again, probably about half of our revenues are in the US now, about 40% or so in Australia and New Zealand, and then we have quite a nascent business in the UK. We have about 1,000 subscribers there, which is exciting, and that's obviously a really massive legal marketplace, the UK, and actually it forms the basis for a lot of best practice in law, a lot of Commonwealth countries as well. So we're really, really excited about that. Yes, so team expanding. Denver's our US base. We've now got maybe 20, 25 team members up there. Yes, as you say, expanding in the UK. It's really exciting times.
Brilliant. David, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really interesting and informative. I guess what we'll do is we'll provide some more information about for folks who want to know more.
David, really appreciate your time, and I hope that was useful and interesting to your subscribers.
Absolutely. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.